Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for new moon in Virgo, and this new moon is happening on the 2nd or 3rd of September depending on where you are in the world, but it's not that important this exact date because this will be felt a couple of days before, a couple of days later, and it will set the tone for the next 4 weeks starting from this day. And uh, this is really time for bringing heaven into body. This is new moon in Virgo, and it's time for getting back to school, for getting back to work, for finish. It's done with holidays. It's done with having fun, with enjoying, with doing things that make us forget about our duties and responsibilities, and it's time to do some work, to get busy but to finish tasks, to clean the house, to clean ourselves. But it has very it is very, of course, detail oriented because it's Virgo, but it's also service oriented. And it's a big reminder that we are all therapists to one another. And it's also a reminder of things that make us feel ashamed, that make us feel guilty, that make us criticize ourselves and others, that make us judge ourselves and others. And it's really something I always mention when I talk about Virgo and Virgo archetypes. And it's, instead of swallowing the pill, let's swallow the pain. And we are what we eat, not only food, but everything, all impressions that we take in. And it's about digestion and how well we can digest things, not only physically but mentally and emotionally. How evolved and how grown we are to digest certain things that are not so easy to digest. And we should always train ourselves to be able to digest everything, everything. No matter how hard it is, we have to bring ourselves into that condition to be able to digest it. And we may be faced with actually avoiding being here, avoiding being in the body, avoiding the pain, avoiding confrontations, avoiding work, avoiding tasks, avoiding responsibilities, avoiding life. And it's also about falling into a lot of illusions, falling into delusions, separating spirit and matter, seeing body as impure, falling into victimization mode. And it's really about realizing that we are all our own saviors. We are our own messiahs. We can, we need to recognize ourselves. And when we let go, we transmute. And I will talk later about the power and the necessity of letting go. And there is a great story, I will mention it a bit later, for letting go. So when we let go, we transmute, we heal, we transform. And we have chosen this exact life for a reason. And it's very important to know that everything is happening just as it should be happening. But the problem is when things don't turn out to be the way we want them to be, the way our personality, the way our wants and needs, the way our egocentric wants and needs want them to be. That's when we resist what we see outside. And it's really time for us to deeply understand that we have chosen this exact life for a reason. And we came with certain tasks and with certain depths. And shades and shadows help us see the light. Virgo part in us notices everything, and it notices every stain, and notices and can say that we are not good enough. It's perfectionist archetype, very strong. And this is where the anxiety issues come from. This is how anxiety is developed, because of this need to be perfect and this obsession. And it can also be about self-obsession. And I mentioned in previous video how dangerous can be when we are obsessed with ourselves, with what others think of us, with how we look, how we speak, how others see us, what kind of impression we leave onto others. When we are obsessed with this idea of who we are, we can easily become sick. And Virgo is also about health and healing. So it's a lot about how we treat ourselves, and what is real self-care. What does it really mean to take care of ourselves? And we are learning how to relax, how to rest, how to relax our muscles, relax any kind of tension in our body. And it's very powerful to know that we can always rest. It's not like we really need to set our priorities, to reprioritize things in our life now, to see what are our priorities, and are we wasting our time? Are we wasting our time? Because Virgo in the 6th house is also about time management and organization and schedules. So how do we organize our life? What kind of lifestyle do we have? What is our everyday life like? Are we satisfied with our everyday life? Are we fulfilled with our everyday work and everyday tasks and duties, with our obligations and responsibilities? Or are they exhausting? Are they killing us or healing us? We have to really learn to discern. This is also Virgo archetype. And our sensitivity to small details can be really heightened during this time. And we are going to experience many reality checks. This is path of escape, and addictions will be successfully targeted during this time. And of course we have many kinds of addictions, and this is the time for exposing those ugly details, and for new beginnings, for new start, for renewal and refreshment of ourselves, our bodies, our self-care, our job, our lifestyle, our health, our diet regime, our exercise regime, our service towards others, our service towards ourselves. And we may either be confronted with something where we feel we failed, we didn't succeed, and we have that pressure that we have to be perfect, we have to do it this way, we have to make it as we have imagined it to be. And this can drive us crazy, this can drive us completely insane, and it can affect our bodies, our health. Or it can be that we are overworking, or that we have been overworking, and now it's time to find some rest. We need to find the balance between resting and working. So we are dealing with overworking, with burnout. Or if we've been avoiding work, if we've been avoiding our responsibilities and duties, we are going to be confronted with what we need to do now. And this new moon is offering us new beginnings. So we are going to be able to start something new, to initiate something new, to plant new seeds in these areas of our lives. And we are addressing those areas where we've been shamed. And this new moon puts our focus on what is real and what is right in front of us. And it's about purging what is toxic. And it's making everyone reassess their judgments. So we will be faced with our own judgments as well. And it's a lot about service and sacrifice. It's about healing, health and well-being. It's about work and routine. It's about being useful. And one of Virgo's archetypes is to be of service. A sense of busyness, when we want or need to be productive and get things done. This is Virgo's realm. And as I said, overworking, addicted, we could be addicted to work. Work as escapism, work as an addiction, and many addictions will be exposed now. Addicted, we could be addicted to, as I said, work, or we could be addicted to certain idea, to certain ideal. We could be addicted to some substances, drugs and alcohol, of course. We could be addicted to a certain way of thinking. There are many addictions. Addicted to food, addicted to certain images, addicted to certain body figure, obsessed with it. Obsessions and addictions, they will be very strong, and our need to be, perfect. And if something is not working, we can go we can go into the abyss of, the mess, complete mess and chaos, where we go into another extreme. And it's very important to be focused on one little detail at a time, one small thing at a time, not multitasking. Multitasking is not very good for us. It can drain us, it exhausts us, and we don't do anything as we should. So one small step at a time, one small, one task at a time. Let's focus on those kinds of things. When small drops join together, what do we get? We create an ocean. So this is a big force for change, and under this influence, small things matter. And this is more inward focused new moon, mystical. There is an opposition with Saturn in Pisces. That's why I'm talking a lot about these addictions and illusions and escapisms. There is a need for deep sense of self-acceptance, and there is a need for finding that inner rock and inner center that can help us weather any storm. And much of our process comes down to no longer falling for any version of guilt or shame. So this will be very strong, and it's very powerful to remember that to be human is to be divine. This is Virgo archetype. This is what Virgo is teaching us. And Virgo is a lot about self-development and self-mastery as well. And we are going to be faced with our dysfunctional programming. The world is filled with adult children acting out dysfunctional programming. So we are going to confront that adult child within ourselves, and we are going to see that from this we create conflictual, codependent and unsatisfying relationships. And Virgo is the archetype of the priest or priestess, which represents human mastery through human spirit integration. Virgo teaches us how to find our spiritual identity through our human form. Virgo, Pisces, polarity. Virgo, the human form, the body, the physical. And Pisces, the transcendental, the otherworldly, the spiritual. And this is how we explore our human wholeness. And Virgo teaches us that spirit and body and spirit and matter are not separate. Virgo teaches us that the world and our bodies are special manifestation of spirit, and that matter is a dense form of spirit. And of course, everything that we see around us, all material world that we see, is actually a product of the intangible. The whole tangible reality is coming from the intangible. And this is what we are going to feel now, to sense now, especially those who are a little bit more intuitive, more sensitive, more sensual. And Priestess Virgo reminds us that healing begins by taking care of the temple of our body. And so we are going to see, are we abusing our bodies in order to satisfy our egocentric wants and needs? Our healing requires self-acceptance. And I said many times I mention always when I talk about Virgo, I always ask, are we abusing our bodies? And for each of us, it's different way of abuse. We all abuse it in some way. And we are mostly unaware of what kind of big work our bodies do. We have no idea how our organs work. We don't have to worry about how our digestion system works. We don't have to worry about anything about how our body is working. And it's a huge work. So it's time for us to start honoring that work, to start honoring our bodies, to start appreciating our time and energy because of that. And as I said, this healing requires great self-acceptance. And the question for all of us is, where do we don't accept ourselves? What parts of us we don't accept? What parts of us we reject? And immediately when I say part of us, this is, something that separates us from the wholeness, like part of me. There are no parts of me. I am whole. This is a reminder that we are whole. But Virgo likes to, separate things into little pieces. Virgo part of us likes to pick everything apart and can be quite critical of self and others. And it's really time for us to let go of the idea that we can and must be perfect. Virgin and her child is something that has been illustrated and represented through various artistic creations, and it signifies the new birth, one of many significant initiations. And Virgo, the Virgin, is very important to be understood in the right way. It is, the point when human beings become newly born, and plus we have new moon, so it's double energy of newly born, born in spirit. Virgin, Virgin and her child, this child born in spirit, born from Virgin, born pure, born with wisdom, knowledge, and great abilities. So the message of this is that the Savior that we are waiting for outside of us is within us. There is no Savior outside of ourselves. The Savior is within us. This is about self-responsibility. We have Virgo, new moon, responsibilities, hard work, reliability, being able to rely on ourselves, and opposition with Saturn in Pisces. There is again, Saturn is about responsibilities and persistence and devotion and doing the structural, methodical work. It's hard work. And it's in Pisces, it's about spirituality and bringing it into the body. So we have to give birth to our Savior. We have to become impregnated by our spirit. We have to give birth to new self, to purified self, unconditioned self, liberated self, unprogrammed self, fearless self, awakened self. The Savior is nobody else but ourselves. This is, the biggest message of this new moon. And, Virgo is the Virgin, and her glyph, the letter M, also represents mother, amongst many other things. And this is from where most of the Virgin names came from. Maya, Mary, Mira, Maya, Mother of God, Mother Goddess, Divine Mother, the Queen of Heaven, etc. And Virgo characteristics are purity, perfection, discipline, discernment, knowing how to separate wheat from the chaff. Not everyone can do this. Of course, we have to work hard to achieve this second birth. We have to become the Virgin and the Savior, the Virgin and the child. We are all of it. And we are reminded now how to do it. We have an opportunity, new beginning. to start something new in our life that can allow us to give ourselves this birth, to be born in purity. And we have to purify ourselves. And Virgo represents broken matter. Everything is chopped and neat, lost in analysis, while Pisces is spilled energy. Everything is messy and scattered. And it's really time to bring these two together. There is, wholeness out of every duality, every polarity brings us into wholeness. And new moon, it's time when the moon is discharged totally, and it's at zero level, and it's totally empty and ready for getting the tank full. And it's time of low tide, time when sea level decreases and withdraws, and we can see what's beneath the surface. So the sea level withdraws and we can see what's underneath. The withdrawal reveals to us what's been hidden and invisible. And we can find some monsters there, but we can find a treasure as well. Everything can be found. Lots of things hide in the corners of our psyche, of our imagination, of our dreams and desires. And what we discover is there for us, so that we can see it and acknowledge it. And this is time for a restart. We are at 0 point. We are taking a new breath. And we are filling our tanks now and getting ready for the drive to the next lunation, to the full moon, when there's a peak of this energy. And this full moon will be lunar eclipse in Pisces. But we'll get there in 2 weeks. And we are stepping into great healing now. Virgo and Pisces, both a lot about healing. Very, very much about healing. And it's also about, as I said, time management, tasks, plans, goals, routines, and habits. New emotional sequences too. And we are being asked, what is wasting our time? And where are we wasting our time? Where are we wasting our energy? Where are we wasting our resources? Where are we wasting our bodies? It's time for new routines and new habits, new healthy routines and habits. Getting rid of addictions and dedicating to our health. Need for deep resolutions. But we may not get there yet. There's a lot of work to be done. But we are asked to focus on small things, as I said. Focus on details. Focus on something that is needed right here and right now. Little changes, small changes, not big ones, little ones that cause huge ones. And we are going to be revitalized through this. But let's remember that question and ask ourselves this, and I'm asking you now, what is a waste of time for you? And are you wasting your time? But we are also asked to accept the mess. We have to accept our own mess and to honor this mess. I always talk about accepting the mess, because if we reject the mess, we reject the wholeness that we are, and we only become one part of ourselves. But then this mess comes up again, something triggers it, and it comes up again, and we again suppress it. We don't want it. We want to be perfect. We don't want for that mess to be seen. And we find all kinds of excuses to justify ourselves, or we attack others just not to be blamed guilty. It's a lot about humiliation, shame, guilt, criticism, judgment, feeling like we are attacked, feeling like we have to defend ourselves. And it can be offensive, defensive energy. And it's a lot about seeing the details that we may have not seen. We are going to be able to see some things about ourselves that we couldn't see before. We are noticing new details that we didn't notice before. And it's self-realization, and it's also realization about others, small realizations, bunch of little revelations within ourselves. And we may feel a bit torn apart between things we have to finish and resting, or daydreaming and daily work. And we have to find some healthy balance there. And we have to definitely make a better connection with acceptance, because this acceptance will be knocking on our doors constantly. It's a continuous knock, until we see what we need to accept, until we see those things that we continuously reject because we don't like them, because we find them disgusting, or we think that others won't accept us if they find out certain things, or or when we of course reject these things about in the world, reject other people's behavior. Whatever we don't accept is really potential danger for us, because we are going to be confronted with it again and again and again. And as I said, this self-obsession is very possible now, and focus on ourselves can go bad. If we are, we can exaggerate with self-care, there is a possibility of misunderstanding what it really means to take care of ourselves and be of service to others. And it's really important to choose to resolve something in our life that we retreat and withdraw from. We have to resolve those things that we continuously try to escape. We have to commit ourselves to something that we have taken responsibility for. And worrying about opinions of others should be minimized. And of course, as I said, this is time when we may be ashamed of ourselves, but we may be embarrassed to do something, or embarrassed to go into public, or to speak in front of others, or to speak with someone, or to say what we mean, or to say the truth, or to just go and be who you are. We may be embarrassed of ourselves, and this is where the key is for us, for the healing. This is where the key is, right there, where we are embarrassed. What are we embarrassed of? What are we ashamed of? What do we feel guilty for? This is where the keys are for us, the healing fruits. And it's really time for us to improve our health in every way, our mental, emotional, and physical health. And all earth energies are about revitalizing our body, our health, our material situation. So don't torture yourself out of habit. This is earth energy, very powerful for healing. And we are facing ourselves now, and through doing this we may be dealing with some trivial things along the way, of course, but they are very important. Like changing jobs, changing our routines, our habits, changing our diet regime, changing our schedules, becoming better in managing time, in organizing our everyday life. And this is facing ourselves too. Let's not think that, oh, I have to do this everyday work now, but I have to deal with myself. This is again Virgo and Pisces polarity. Virgo doing the work, Pisces being, just being, not doing anything, resting, relaxing, daydreaming, fantasizing, visualizing, transcending, transmuting. And Virgo is being of service, being useful, being pragmatic, efficient, productive, practical. So we have to do both. We have to play all these roles. And it's really all about self-development and self-improvement. This is, harvest season, and it's, as I said, it's about digestion, and it's about how do we digest that pain that we have swallowed instead of the pill. We are looking for fast solution, for quick solutions. We want, if we feel pain or if we feel sick, we run to the doctor, or we run to the healer, or we immediately want to stop the pain, to stop the sickness, to fight with it. But what if we don't fight? What if we make friends with that sickness, with that illness? What if we, for example, if we have a headache, why do we fight it? Why don't we allow that headache to be there, to observe it? We immediately want to cut it. We immediately try to cut every problem, every issue, and this is how we create more and more issues and problems. Of course, they don't disappear, they just grow bigger because we try to cut them, to make them go away. We don't want to deal with them, but this is really time to sit with it and to swallow that pain and to see how we're going to digest it, to observe the whole process of digestion. And this is, I said, it's mental, emotional, physical digestion, and also spiritual. It's very much about purification and detoxification, and also holistic healing too. But we have to do the work. We cannot expect miracles. Things won't miraculously change overnight if we don't change something within ourselves, if we don't make any small, at least small change in our life. We have to make at least some small change in our everyday life so that things can change. That saying that, we cannot expect different results if we keep doing the same thing. But we all do that. We expect some miracle to happen. But, miracle is you. Miracle is me. We are miracles. We have to awaken that miracle. We have to do that work. Virgo is work. Take action, do something. And we do always have to be reminded of our imperfections, so that we always have something to work on, always something to improve, always something to push for betterment. This is actually very purposeful, but not if we become obsessed with it and if we become disempowered by it. But we have to become inspired by these imperfections, inspired to become better, to improve ourselves, to improve the quality of our life. And we are going to see what is good for us and what simply needs to go. It is time to separate the wheat from the chaff, as I said, freeing ourselves from unhealthy patterns, toxicity and clutter, and move forward, cleansed and purified in mind and body. This can be, I said this somewhere before, also when I talked about Virgo. I think it can be like a black comedy kind of thing. We may be faced with some, dark humor, everything, but we have to really see that everything is perfect already, just the way it is. And when we have this perception, we are aligned. We help ourselves receive the right amount of everything that we need. But we are fighting against things that we see outside ourselves because we don't find them perfect. And as I said at the beginning of this video, when we don't get what we want, we cannot accept it. But we have to learn to accept things when they turn out differently from how we imagined them to be. This is really high level of acceptance. I know it's not easy, but it's very, very powerful, very healing, very transformative in every way. And we are getting ready for the unavoidable. Eclipses are coming, and we are getting ready for the unavoidable. We are preparing for something big, and we are asked not to be scared. Virgo is really preparing us for this big step, for something big. And we of course are going to rise to this challenge, and it's period of preparation. It can be calm before the storm, we all know this, and eclipses can bring the storm, and this Virgo new moon can be the introduction to this storm and preparation. And we can get really physically well now. We can prepare ourselves, eating healthy, living healthy, but not obsessed, not fanatically. Let's not go into any extreme, but it's, knowing our duties, knowing our responsibilities, being, practicing solidarity, practicality, diligence, and physical health, physical exercises too. We are preparing for something bigger and greater, and things could be rough and tough in the coming months, and we are reminded what we need to do in order to help ourselves go as painless as we can. And we cannot avoid growing pain. We shouldn't be afraid of the pain, so let's not reject it. As I said, let's swallow it and digest it. Observe the process of digestion. And healing cannot happen without allowing pain to go through us. And we try to prevent ourselves from feeling pain, and this is how we cause it actually. We tend to repeat it. And we are also asked for forgiveness, especially when eclipse comes in Pisces, because Pisces is very much about forgiveness and self-forgiveness. And this Virgo opposition Saturn in Pisces is also reminding us of the power of forgiveness. But when we want to forgive, we may feel as if we are about to lose something. If we forgive, we may feel like we are becoming weak if we forgive. This is again perfectionist energy, ashamed of everything that is not perfect, ashamed to admit that we've made a mistake, or ashamed to admit anything, and ashamed of forgiveness, ashamed of self-forgiveness. And as I always say, when we go through this process of forgiveness, we eventually realize that there was nothing to be forgiven in the first place. But first we have to go through this fire of forgiveness in order to realize this. And of course it's paradoxical, but it's time for us to realize that paradoxes can exist, and they do exist. And this is incredibly healing energy, and it's asking us for attention instead of tension. And of course some wounds never heal completely, but they do fade away with time, and a considerable amount of inner work and conscious awareness, of course, is needed for this healing to happen. And even though that certain wounds never heal completely, we grow thanks to them. We learn how to cope, we learn how to live with them, and we transmute them eventually. And we all have parts of ourselves that we keep hidden away in the shadows, unseen and unloved. And these subconscious complexes and compulsions can affect our closest relationships. And the more uncomfortable it feels to do it, the greater the potential for growth. Let's not forget this. The more uncomfortable it is, the greater potential for growth and healing. It may not be comfortable, but could be profoundly healing and deeply transforming. And any issue we may have around power, jealousy, trust, fear of abandonment, and loss could come up for us to confront and work through. And there is a sense of a beautiful reward from the willingness to face ourselves and do the inner work that is necessary to let go of whatever has been holding us prisoner or blocking our way forward. And the ruler of this new moon is Mercury. and Mercury is in Leo during the time of this new moon, and it's making square to Uranus in Taurus. And it can be, we can expect some shocking and surprising news and messages, something that will shake our ground. The Uranus is playing a very important role, as you can see in almost every lunation. Last couple of lunations, Uranus is involved in the game, and we have some shocks and surprises, some sudden realizations, sudden changes, snap decisions, and we should be careful, because this square can bring crisis and need to break free from something, no matter what, even if that brings huge destruction. So let's, think before we speak. Mercury just went out of retrograde motion when this new moon happens, and it's still in the shadow, and it's still not very clear. We still don't have full picture. We are not seeing everything clearly yet. And this is Mercury is in fiery sign, and it prepares us for what's coming, and we can learn something that burns with this fire of Leo. It burns the impurities within us. Impurities, Virgo, obsession. And do something healthy, focus on well-being, enough rest, good sleep, good food, gardening, plant some vegetables, clean the house, keep yourself clean, do detoxification of any kind, work on self-improvement, do some fasting, exercise, walk in the nature, be in the present moment. I know this sounds very cliche, but we are usually always obsessed with things that are about to happen or things that have happened. This is time to try to do your best to walk in the nature, and try just to focus on your breathing while you're walking, on your steps and your breathing, and nothing else. Just steps and breathing, that's everything. Walk and breathe, walk and breathe. that's just one small healing tip for you. And this is, Virgo likes to cleanse and purify, so this is an ideal opportunity to do just that. But it is part of us that wants to do well, and of course, although sometimes it can also mean that we are quite hard on ourselves, seeking some kind of impossible perfection. But let's make sure that we take care of ourselves and manage our stress levels in the best way we can. And let's be aware of the power of the mind to impact our body, both positively and negatively. And we are shaking off the old, outworn version of ourselves that is no part of who we are becoming. We can, purge old patterns and transform ourselves. And this is prompting us to dig deep into our shadows and face whatever we find there, so that we can transmute it. And this energy can bring superhuman strength, will, and courage to confront and overcome things that we never would have thought possible. It's that strong, really. And these powerful forces can also help us to have the courage to reveal or expose the parts of ourselves that we might usually be too shy or ashamed to show. And I am going to tell you this story now that I mentioned in the beginning, because we are going to be faced with something that we are holding for too long, that we are carrying with ourselves for too long, and that became so heavy that we cannot move anymore. And it's an interesting story, and maybe some of you will recognize it. And I also shared it in 2024 horoscopes for Aries, but it can be applied now for everyone, because it's very appropriate. And the story talks about a professor who begins the class by taking a glass of water, and he is holding this glass of water in his hand, and he's asking his students, what do you think is the weight of this glass? 50 grams, 100 grams, 200 grams. Students were giving different answers. And the professor said, the truth is that I don't know either. And we cannot be sure of its weight until we wait. But I actually wanted to ask you something else. What will happen if I continue holding this glass of water for a couple of minutes? Nothing, students replied. Professor said, okay, but what will happen if I hold this glass of water like this for 1 whole hour? And they answered, your hand will be in pain. Correct, he said. And what will happen if I hold it like this 1 whole day? Of course, they said your hand will hurt badly and you will probably have spasms and other issues. Your hand can become paralyzed. You may have to see a doctor. Very good, he said. And do you think that the weight of the glass changes while all of that is happening? No, everyone replied at once. So, what is the cause of the pain and spasms in my hand if the weight doesn't change? The students were confused, and it was like some kind of riddle, and everyone started looking for an answer. And the professor continued and said, what do I have to do in order to free myself from the pain and burden in this situation? Drop the glass. The answer was heard. And he said, yes, that's the answer. Drop the glass. Release it. That same thing is happening with your problems in life and with your heavy and tough thoughts. To think about them for a few minutes is normal thing. But, there is nothing wrong with that. But if we keep these thoughts and problems in our mind for a long period of time, we will start feeling pain. And if we do it for a very long time, too long, we will feel paralyzed. And, we won't be able to do anything else. We will be trapped. We will be imprisoned by that pain. And it's very important to know how to release our mind from those problems and troubling thoughts at the end of every day. Every day, Virgo, 6th house. And this pain of holding something for too long. And, it is crucial to let these issues fall, to drop them, to let them break into pieces. And this is how we can release stress every day. We can do this every day. At the end of the day, let's do it consciously, with our conscious effort. We can imagine, we can take the glass of water and imagine this glass as our issues, our problems, and imagine that we are dropping this water. Imagine that we are breaking it all. This will help us, we will be waking up fresh and renewed, and it will become easier for us to overcome life difficulties instead of holding on to them. This is, a great story that reminds us that sometimes all it takes to free ourselves from pain is to let go, to drop it, to let it all fall away from you. And we will see that most of the things that we are holding on to are actually causing us a lot of pain and stress. And, we don't have to carry that burden. This is what this new moon in Virgo is reminding us of. Don't forget to drop the glass. It's very important to know this. And the Virgo new moon is really giving us green light for that and helping us, supporting us to do so. Virgo, the archetype of the virgin, the maiden, the shamaness energy. It's the sign of the harvest. It symbolizes the purification process as a preparation step towards further development. And it's showing us how we deal with anxiety, with stress and problematic issues, how we deal with problematic situations. And this Virgo energy now focuses its efforts on the stripping down of the ego and providing a grounding effect on any personal motives. And this Virgo part in us, it has the power to tame those beastly drives down into something more functional, something useful and ready for service. This is about continuous improvement and physical well-being. And we should be careful, because the perfectionism of Virgo part in us can often degenerate into hypercriticism. And there is, it can pressure us to get the job done, or, to set out a plan to complete it at any cost. And if we feel this obsession, we should just know to take it easy, to step away, to rest, relax, go and take a walk in the nature, let your mind, go in some different direction, breathe and walk, focus on your steps and breathing, be there in that walk, don't think about anything else, don't allow yourself to be distracted by anything else, no matter how hard it is. This is hard work. Let's try to bring that savior alive, to awaken that savior within ourselves, to purify ourselves, and let's see what it is that we are avoiding. What are you avoiding? What am I avoiding? What am I not accepting? What are you not accepting? We have to see these things within ourselves, and it can be overwhelming. There is the avoidance around claiming our shadow content and projecting it outward. And of course we are avoiding those aspects of ourselves that we'd rather not look at, but we have to look at it. And these are breakthroughs by looking at our resistance right in the face. This is how the breakthrough happens, looking at our resistance right in the face. And we know what we resist persists, what we reject we project. And it's really powerful time to awaken these things, to become aware of them. And of course we improve ourselves step by step. We cannot do it all at once right now. We have to do the work step by step, through little details, little changes, as I said, that make huge changes. One small routine change, if we change one small thing in our everyday life, I promise you that soon you will see bigger changes in your life. But stick to those changes, and the question that we are also going to be faced with is, can we let go and let others grow on their own? And there may be a feeling that if we are not around, things won't work out as they should. And as if we are not there, something bad will happen. There is a need to be useful, to be needed. Need to be needed. That's why this Virgo archetype has a need to, take care of others, to be the nurse, the babysitter, the caretaker, because there is a need to be needed, to be useful. Of course, there is nothing bad here, but if it comes from the unhealthy need, and if we never feel fulfilled and satisfied, this is toxic. And we are going to learn to discern what is toxic and what is healthy in all of this that is happening now. And our intuition is very strong now, but it can be easily mixed with some other things too. So let's be careful with what we conclude now, because this Mercury, as I said, is still in its shadow period. And this square with Uranus also can bring sudden reversals of life patterns, unexpected shifts in consciousness, flashes of pure insight also, and lightning blasts of innovative concepts. It can go in many different directions, and this can also trigger unconventional behavior and need for rebelliousness, for independence. And we should know that still anything that is wiped out suddenly was probably due for renewal anyway. So let's not be afraid of those sudden and shocking changes that may happen. This is like we are speeding up something. This Uranus will help some things to speed up, and we can speed up the moment of release. As I said, when we release something, we transmute. And in in the time of this new moon, in the lead up to this new moon, if you have been experiencing high nervous tension, if you felt agitated, restless, excitable, or driven by an overwhelming urge for change, then this lunation offers a chance for liberation, for awakening and illumination from the linear time sequence. It can really bring relief, and things won't be the same, even if you may still feel the same. And you will see this in the couple of next weeks. And so yeah, time to wake up and face the rhythm and the melody of your life is now. And melodies can be dramatic, can be divine, can be funny, can be scary. And we have to dance to the rhythm and feel it fully, no matter what it is. To learn to hear it all, not to resist everything that we don't like right away. Like whatever we don't like, we run away from there. No, let's see what it is. Let's give it some time and space to exist, to express itself. And the more we are in avoidance, the more we have a tendency to retreat inward and get into a dream, trance, escapist state where we feel overwhelmed, victimized, etc., and continue to neglect that which we are avoiding. And we may retrieve energy or vitality through facing what we are avoiding, and we can expect some strong, vivid dreams. And let's be very careful of that escapism and also spiritual bypassing. We have Mars in Gemini making square with Neptune in Pisces, so let's be very careful of our need for escapism and our addictions and our subconscious fears and anxieties and need for perfectionism. We are really experiencing big personal growth by taking responsibility in a place we were previously enacting neglect. And this is showing us our capacity to value ourselves, to receive love, and to receive blessings through things that we avoid, through things that we resist through things that we don't like, through things that we are ashamed of, through things that we just want to completely forget about. But they may come up now. This new moon in Virgo really wants us to set some new priorities, new principles, new quality tasks for ourselves to improve the quality of our life. And in order to do so, we really have to do some work. And with this, I will end this forecast, and I wish you all a very healing, transformative, confrontational new moon in Virgo, where you can all take responsibility for yourselves, and where we can really see where are we wasting our time and what are we avoiding, and how we can become the virgin and the savior and the newly born wise human being. And to be divine is to be human, to be human is to be divine. Virgo, Pisces, let's not forget this. And this is it for now. The continuation will be in 2 weeks. This eclipse in Pisces is very much connected to this lunation. I love you all and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.